Hi. Our first question tonight is from Tanya, a senior at Reedland High School. Hers is a calculus-related rates problem. The problem is, a pool with a depth of 9 feet at the deep end and 4 feet at the shallow end is being filled at a rate of 10 cubic feet per minute. If the present depth is 4 feet, at what rate is the depth of the water rising? I'll have to go to the board to finish this one. I already have our drawing on the board. It's a lot easier to solve these calculus problems with a drawing, as is it in most algebra problems. First of all, I drew it and figured our depth is 9 at the deep end and 5 at the shallow end. The width is 40 feet and the height is 20 feet. To find the slope, I found my y over x and found it to be 1 over 8. Therefore, 8y is equal to x. To find the volume of the inclined portion of the pool, we use the formula volume equals 1/2 x, y, z, or since we already know z to be 20, it is 20 over 2 xy, which, substituting my 8y and x in, I get 80y squared. The depth is 4 feet, and the volume is increasing at a rate of 10 feet. Therefore, we shall implicitly derive the formula V equals 80y squared. The implicit derivation of this will be dv over dt equals 160 y dy over dt. The next thing we should do is substitute our depth and our increasing volume in for 10 equals 160 times our 4 times our dy over dt. Solving for our change in depth, we get 1 over 64 feet per minute. And this is your answer. I hope that helps you, Tanya.
Our second question is a social studies question left over from last week. The question is, why did the Shoguns close Japan to the outside world? The answer is that they feared the spread of Western ideas and influence.
Our next question is a social studies question from Kelly at St. Mary. Her question is, which of Woodrow Wilson's 14 points is considered to be the most important, and what is it? The 14th point was the most important, and it was the formation of a League of Nations.
Okay, I have a question posed for Missy, who's a sophomore at Lone Oak, and she wanted to know what causes a person to blush. Well, Missy, the steps leading to this reaction are complicated because they involve memory patterns, previous training, and also one's reactions to certain situations. But basically, the flush is caused by the stimulation of the vasodilator center in the medulla of the brain, with the result of the surface of the skin becoming filled with blood as the skin arterioles dilate. So, to paraphrase, blushing is actually an excess of blood in the facial area.
Our next question tonight comes from Terry, an 11th grader at Heath High School. Terry asks, what causes fainting? Well, the answer to this, Terry, is it is a result of the drop in blood pressure in the vessel supplying the brain due to any number of causes, including psychological disturbances. One of the common methods of preventing a fainting spell is to lower the head below the level of the body.
The next question is a social studies question from Daniel at St. Mary. The question is, do the Yellow and Red Rivers meet in Winnipeg, Canada? The answer is no. The Yellow River is in China and the Red River is in North Vietnam.
Our next question is from Jackie, a senior at St. Mary High School. She wants to know what causes amnesia. Amnesia is caused when the hippocampus, which is an area of the brain directly above the brain stem, becomes damaged and can no longer relay recent memories or make new neural connections for memories to be stored. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, this question was from Stephen, a sophomore at Lone Oak, and it pertained to math, and he would like to know, please use, using the quadratic formula, find the roots of the equation 2x squared plus 2x minus 4 equals 0. And I believe it'd be easier if we went to the board to explain this one. Okay, the equation he wanted answered was Okay, he wanted me to find the roots of this equation by using the quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac under the radical over 2a. Okay, and to get our a, b, and c values, this would be our a value for the equation, this will be our b, and this will be our c value. So let me write this up here. Okay, now substituting in our values, the opposite of b, which would be negative 2 plus or minus b squared, which would be 4, minus 4 times our a, which was 2, and our c value, which is negative 4, all under the radical, divided by twice a, which would be 4. Okay, so it'd be negative 2 plus or minus, simplifies down to 4 plus 32 over 4. Okay, so it'd be negative 2 plus or minus radical 36 over 4. And we know radical 36 is 6, so it would be negative 2 plus or minus 6 over 4. So negative 2 plus 6 would be negative 4 over 4. So one root would be 1. And our next root, negative 2 minus 6, would be negative 8 over 4, which would be negative 2. So our roots are 1 and negative 2 for this equation.
Melissa, a student at Lone Oak. It is a science question. She asked, what is the phylum of the earthworm? The phylum of the earthworm is Annelida. I hope that answers your question.
The next question is a history question from Susie, a 6th grader at St. Mary Elementary. Her question is, how many presidents have been assassinated while they were in office, and who were they? There were 4. The first one was in 1865. He was Abraham Lincoln. The next one was in 1881, James A. Garfield. The next one was in 1901, William McKinley. And the last one was in 1963, John F. Kennedy.
Our next question is from Lucy. She's a 4th grader at St. Mary Elementary. Lucy wants to know, do frogs breathe through lungs like humans? Yes, they have lungs similar to humans, but they also breathe through gills when they're young, and they breathe through their skin. I hope that answers your question.